Pastor Abigail Palacios from Washington, D.C., first encountered Papa John on YouTube in 2021, captivated by the unique tongues and power she saw from afar. After witnessing undeniable miracles in Jacksonville and profound encounters in the realms, her prayer life was ignited, stretching to 12-hour watches, visions of serpents over her family, angelic visitations, and deep deliverance. In Atlanta and later in South Africa at the Ministers' Conference, she received intense fire, a reconfiguring of her mind, and a clear mandate from the Lord to carry Papa John's vision.
Perfect day, saints. This is Pastor Abigail Palacios from Washington, D.C. I want to tell you a little bit about my journey with Papa John. So I came across Papa John 2021 scrolling on YouTube. As soon as I saw a short and I heard him speaking in tongues, my spirit was captivated by the sound he was making. I love praying in tongues, and I also love listening to songs in tongues. So that was always something that I enjoyed. And when I heard him, it was just so unique, so different. And I was just captivated instantaneously. And then I started looking more into his videos. So I subscribed and I watched at a distance. Papa John is a lot to take on at first glance. So I saw the power that was shown in his church, but was just observing at that point. Papa John announces he's going to Jacksonville. I've been following him for a year by that point, and I really wanted to encounter him in person because I prayed to the Lord and I asked the Lord to show me who this man is. I didn't get an answer, but I believe my answer was Papa John be sent to Jacksonville. So that was my opportunity to really find out, is this a person of God? Is this real? So I go to Jacksonville, and I remember that there was about 6 or 7 people that stood up from a wheelchair, which was just awe. It just struck me in awe. I've never seen that. I've been to so many services. I've been to many conferences of big names, and I have never seen that level of power ever. On the last day, he ended up praying for everyone. He laid hands, and even that was just a testament of his heart and his goodwill. So he prayed, he put his hands on me. Nothing happened, but I knew I had received something in the spirit, right? So I fly back home to Washington, and as I'm on the airplane, I have an encounter, and Papa John is praying for me in the realms, and I just feel electricity. And when I wake up, I'm like still shaking on the plane, and I was like, wow, this is a power that I saw in Jacksonville. Although it didn't happen then, it happened in the realms. Shortly after Rochester, I also enter a fast, and I have a dream where I'm in a surgery table, and Papa John is the doctor, and he removes something like a snake from my stomach, and there was other people assisting him, and I was so concerned, but he was like, everything's going to be okay. And so I knew there was some type of deliverance that was happening. And so from then on, I started following Papa John more consistently, started praying with him, praying with the IT, and just being more a consistent follower. Then Papa John announces he's going to have the Atlanta prayer retreat. So I headed on a plane to Atlanta, and we've warred and we prayed for 3 days. And by the end of the 3rd day, I knew that I had received something. And by the time I got to my hotel and I laid my body down, I noticed that I was vibrating, which was a very interesting sensation for myself. I'd never experienced that. And as I laid myself down, I could see my spirit coming out of my body. At that time, I wasn't ready for that experience, so I didn't lay down. I said, you know what, I'm just going to pray. And I started praying. I prayed for about 5 hours. I have never prayed that much, and I could have kept going on and on and on, but I had an appointment with Papa, so I was like, let me get some rest, and I fell asleep. And as I fell asleep, an angel came to visit me, and I asked her if she was my angel. She said yes. And then I asked her a specific question about my family, what is going on my mom's side of the family, and she took me to an ancestral home, and then she basically gave me some clarity on things that I needed to pray in my lineage. I was just so amazed with that encounter that I had. It was beautiful. beautiful. It was something I have never witnessed before. I had seen angels, but never spoken to them, never interacted. And from there forward, I was fully onboarded to Papa John's mission, and fully more engaged. And my prayer life was never the same. Since Atlanta, right, my prayer life increased. I was praying 3 to 5 to 6 to 12 hours a day. And then the Spirit of the Lord led me shortly after Atlanta, 2 weeks later, to enter into a 3-day fast to pray 12 hours each day. And I did. By the 3rd day, I was caught up in the realms, and the Lord showed me the beast of my family. And this beast was a very large serpent. It was a very tall tower of darkness, and it was a serpent with 3 heads and green eyes, and I said some things to it. He responded to me, and he was laughing at me. And then Papa John came, and he was dressed in white, and the scene was over. Since Atlanta, I started to see the spirits, either in reptilian form or whatever type of beast or creatures that I was fighting in the spiritual realms, which was something that I didn't see too often, and it just had increased as I continued to pray more and more. I also would notice in my dreams that I would command certain creatures, reptiles, crocodiles, different creatures. I would command them to stop, and they would stop. I would command them to go away, and they'd go away. Sometimes I would have to fight. Sometimes I could just command. And I would continue to follow Papa John. I would have also, encounters where I would be preaching to other races. They were like humans, but they had very slight different features. The habitation where they were was different. I saw myself many times preaching to different people, like they knew me, they hugged me, the children, the parents, adults. I couldn't tell you where it was. Some of them looked like terrains from outer space. Other places looked more, Earth-like. But I've also had those type of encounters. And I've also had more encounters in the waters and in the air and on the earth. And so fast forward to Rochester. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go, but I stayed watching the sermon from my laptop. I was watching it, and I was receiving, and I was, taking everything in. And I remember as he finished the Friday service, I went back to my room and I started to pray. I was just so broken for not being there because I saw the fire of God move, and I was praying to the Lord and just roaring and roaring for my family, and I fell asleep. And then I was caught up into the realm of fire, and in that realm of fire there was a lion, and the lion was roaring, and I was roaring with the lion, and there was so much fire that was surrounding us, and the fire was so intense. It was like purifying fire. It was like cleansing fire. It was like fire that was reviving you for a good purpose. And as I woke up shaking from that encounter, as soon as I saw the ministers' conference, I decided to come in August. I put on my letter that I want fire, and Papa John tells me,
take my finger.
And I grab his finger, and all lights went out. I felt like a bomb exploded in me. I felt like I had a ball of fire inside of me, and I was just under the fire of God. His presence was so heavy on me. I was so drunk in the Spirit. And I remember going home that night and just weeping to the Lord and thanking Him for that wonderful encounter. And I remember I laid on the floor of my hotel. And as I laid on the floor of my hotel, I could see this cryptic device, and you have to decode it. The Spirit of the Lord was telling me, I am reconfiguring your perception, the way you think, changing your mind, changing your thoughts, changing everything about what you thought you knew. As I laid there, I could not get up from the floor. The weight of the Holy Spirit was so heavy on me in my hotel room. I stayed there for a couple of hours, just letting the Holy Spirit script me a new mind, the mind of Christ, so that I can do what He has called me to do. God told me to come here a second time, and this was my second time, so I knew I was going to receive. I knew God has a blessing for me here. So at that moment when Papa started to pray over a woman and declare that she was going to receive 4 creatures, I knew I was receiving that because it was just something I've been asking for. I had already received my creature of fire. When he was declaring that over her, I was also receiving it in the spiritual world. And then I was caught up in the realms. And then I remember Papa saying, many of you guys here will also see your creatures.
God will be assigning angelic creatures, fierce creatures from his realms. For most of you here, because the hour to take territories have come.
And then he also followed with, there are 5 people that are going to receive the ear of God, I believe. And so at that moment, I fell to the ground, and I just felt such power come over me. I just lost control completely, and I was telling the Holy Spirit, do as you want. I just felt such power go through me. And then I feel Papa touch my eyes, and he declares that my eyes be open.
The eye of the eagles, thou shalt see.
And there's just power running through me at that moment. So much power. And so much power. Oh, Shama, so much power. And so I'm there for a while. I bless Papa John's life. I bless Mama Ola, and I bless their children. Each one of them who have just wisdom and knowledge and are walking in the ways of the Lord. They're an exemplary family, and they are a church that they exemplify a church model that we should all follow. All of the ministers, we should follow that. And so I just bless them. I bless everything that I have received here, the divine impartation that I've received here.
Upcoming events with the bondservant of Christ, John. USA, get ready for the first conference of 2026 in January with the bondservant of Christ. Dates soon to be announced. Stay tuned. For more information, go to hub.drealms.org.
Global Roar for all nations at Grand Arena, Grand West.
To secure your spot, visit hub.drealms.org or scan the QR code on the screen. Date, Saturday, 6th of December, 2025, at 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. Central African Time.
Venue, Grand Arena, Grand West. Address, 1 Jakes Gerwell Drive, Goodwood, Cape Town, 7460. On Sunday, the 7th of December, right after the second service, we'll be having our water baptism with the bondservant of Christ, John. Scan the QR code and register now.